Hey y'all, Duke here. When it comes to honey farm designs, you're probably familiar with something similar to this. Basic, simple, perfect for just building a little starter honey farm to get you going. Unfortunately, if you're looking to take things to the next level, you'll find that this farm isn't really all that scalable. And it's for a simple reason. All these hoppers right here. For each hive, you end up having 4 hoppers. So if you were to scale this to say 1,000 hives, you're talking 4,000 hoppers, and worse still, each and every one of those are unlocked, meaning they're going to contribute quite a lot of lag. So logically, let's start by stripping things down. We don't need 4 hoppers per slice, since we could get away with just, say, 1 hopper up here to refill the dispenser with empty bottles, and when it comes down to distributing those empty bottles, we could simply use a chest minecart. When it comes down to collection, we could simply just have 1 hopper underneath the hive. And if we were to run those hoppers in a hopper line like this, they could double as both collecting the honey bottles from whenever a particular slice gets triggered and transporting them to our central collection. Now all we need to do is just keep these hoppers locked and only unlock them when minecart happens to be going past, and we've essentially arrived at Kate Ender's lag efficient honey farm. So yeah. But could we take things further? Could we make things even more lag efficient? Well, sure. What if this hopper down here that we use to collect the honey bottle, what if we kept it locked and only ever unlocked it when the particular slice triggers? Now first you may be asking, is it really worth it to lock these hoppers? And the answer is a resounding yes, in my opinion. So right here I have 1,728 hoppers, and just by locking them, I am seeing an uplift of about 2 MSPT in terms of performance on my particular computer. To put that into perspective, the game needs to finish processing each tick within 50 MSPT, so that 2 MSPT is 4% of the entire time budget that the game has to process a particular tick. So yeah, 4% of the game performance and such basically freed up for other stuff? Sure, that's not insignificant at all. But now you're probably saying, great, you lock the bottom hopper, you save this performance, we still need to collect the honey bottles. How are we going to do that if they're kept locked all the time? Simple answer, hopper minecarts. Hopper minecarts are great. They can pick up item entities and such, and they can also pull items out of containers above them, including locked hoppers. Hopper minecarts also have the property of, if you drive them over a powered activator rail, and they will not pick up item entities and they will not pull items out of containers above them. So you can effectively lock them and save a little bit of performance. It isn't really all that great, and it's probably not actually worth it to lock hopper minecarts, but hey, it's something you can do. And when you want to unlock a hopper minecart, just gotta drive it over a depowered activator rail, and it's back to picking up items. But now the question becomes, is it worth it to lock all those hoppers if we have to use hopper minecarts to collect the honey bottles? And the simple answer is yes. And the performance savings you get by locking all those hoppers greatly outweighs the performance cost of the number of hopper minecarts you have to use. So for example, for a 1,728 hive honey farm, you can get away with using 12 hopper minecarts for collection. And in fact, if you were to optimize it further, you could probably get away with fewer hopper minecarts even and such. So yes, it's definitely worth using hopper minecarts for collection when you lock the hoppers. With all that in mind, and taking inspiration from my time of modifying Samus Visage shulker sorters and such for my sword system project, I came up with this right here. It works kind of on a similar way as how those shulker sorters work, where the observer is basically monitoring the red zone here. So we pre-power it to single strafe level 4 with this composter and comparator into a block right there. So when the hive reaches honey level 5, and this goes up to single strafe level 5, the observer detects it, honey bottle gets harvested, and then at the same time, this torch also depowers and picks up the honey bottle. Being that this was my first design, obviously it wasn't without its shortcomings. For one, it took 16 ticks from the hive filling up to honey level 5 to actually harvesting the honey. So for reference, a basic honey farm over here takes 6 ticks. And for reference, how I'm measuring response time for these is I'm making use of CarpetMod's tick freeze command. So I'll initiate a tick freeze, then via command set the block to be a beehive with a honey level 5, and then I will use tick sep instead of counting the number of ticks it takes for it to harvest the honey. So tick sep 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ticks for this right here. So obviously there's plenty of room for improvement here, so I got to iterating. First, I came up with a more compact version of that, with also a faster response time. Unfortunately, this, along with that, both happen to not be sateless honey farm slices, due to the piston up here with the redstone block. So, I was getting to thinking, could I make this sateless? Simple answer, yes. And with a faster response time. But at this point, I was looking at the response time and going, hey, 8 ticks should be possible. But unfortunately, this bit down here was putting a speed limit onto things. If I was to go for 8 ticks response time, then it would become unreliable and not always pick up the honey bottle. So it was time for a different approach. Introducing the 8 tick response time full hopper locking honey farm slice. As you can see here, the bottom bit has instead been replaced with just having redstone dust go over here, into the block, into where the comparator picks it up and then carries it on down here, resulting in us being able to unlock the hopper down here faster than if we were to go with that design over there. And as you can see, I am still pre-powering the redstone dust to single strength level 4 with a composter, so that reduces the amount of lag you get from redstone updates where the hives are slowly like increasing fill levels and so forth and decreasing all the time. Basically, the only time redstone updates here is when a hive reaches honey level 5, so presumably that'll reduce on lag a little bit. I've also been told that redstone dust puts out less updates when it happens to be on top of non-solid blocks such as glass or upside down half slabs versus solid blocks, so thus reducing some lag a little bit whenever it triggers. So I decided to go ahead and put non-solid blocks wherever I could right here as well. And because this honey farm slice is sateless, we also have the ability to turn it off by simply pushing blocks and stuff to cut off the redstone, like so. The usefulness of being able to turn off ends of your honey farm is a bit debatable. I see it as being useful because if you run out of glass bottles or whatever, your system can simply just turn off your honey farm, stop harvesting honey bottles. But then again, you're probably going to build ends of your honey farm in the Nether in a secluded location, and it's going to have a portal chunk loader, and that keeps it running. And then, presumably when it runs out of or runs low on glass bottles, you simply just deactivate the portal chunk loader. So, I think being able to turn off your honey farm is a good thing. I really do like that kind of feature, but you may deem it not really a very useful feature. At this point, I was starting to wonder if a sateless honey farm slice with full hopper locking and a 6 tick response time would be possible. And the simple answer is yes. But I would have to get rid of pre-powering the redstone dust, so that does mean more lag caused by redstone dust updates. But it is a faster response time. You could still, turn it off by, blocking off the redstone dust or whatever with blocks. And yeah, it's pretty resource efficient too. So yeah, if you're building a honey farm, it really comes down to, do you want to go for the more resource efficient, or do you just want to go for the full lag efficiency? And at this point, with all the talk of response time, you're probably actually wondering, does a lower response time actually mean better rates? And in small scale testing, the answer to that is yes, but not by a significant amount. For the example honey farm in this video, I'm going for max lag efficiency, meaning I'll be using the 8 tick response time slice. And this right here is 1 out of 9 layers for a full module for the example honey farm I got over there. The hoppers for the refilling of the dispensers with empty bottles are of course kept locked and such, except when you have your minecart with chest with empty bottles go by, at which point it depowers them. We have a comparator fader down here, perfectly timed, so that way all of them can pick up empty bottles. So that's how we refill the empty bottles, all while keeping them unlocked. And yeah, each layer of this consists of 32 beehives, with each segment here ends up having 4 hives in a row. Here we have a full module. Minecarts ends up make their way up ends up from the bottom going to the top. Once they reach the top, gravity brings them back down. And each module ends up makes use of 2 hopper minecarts for collection of the honey bottles and 1 chest minecart for distribution of empty bottles. Each module has 288 beehives and gets about 3.7 thousand honey bottles per hour. Each minecart within a module runs on its own dedicated track. So for the collection hopper minecarts, one runs on the left side here, and another one runs on the right side. And the chest minecart is dedicated to its own module. It doesn't share tracks with any of the other modules. Additionally, we also make use of activator rails to lock and unlock our hopper minecarts whenever possible, just to save that little bit of extra performance. Realistically, this isn't necessary to do, because it's the performance savings we're talking about here is pretty negligible, but I decided to do it anyways, because why not? I'm going for max lag efficiency. Up to 6 of those modules can be put together to form one giant honey farm. With 6 modules here, and we're talking about 1,728 beehives. And that gives us about 22.3 to 22.4 thousand honey bottles per hour. All the minecarts, of course, are kept on their own tracks. And the routing of the minecarts kind of looks a little weird, but a lot of that's on purpose, because I found in the past that if I have a minecart, say, turn a corner and such, that it could sometimes interfere with another minecart on the adjacent track. I've encountered this quite a lot, actually, with the basic wool farms that I built up on NTech and in my single-player world. So in order to try and avoid having minecarts interfere with each other and so forth, I have all of this sort of weird routing where I'm giving myself a lot of space between the rails. The 6 modules are centered around a portal chunk loader, and the entire farm is contained within the 3x3 chunks that are entity processing, or at least the most of it is such. Part of it ends up gets out into these chunks here, but those are at least redstone processing, so that's fine. But if you were looking to build this farm, just be advised that make sure that you actually line it up and chunk align it into properly, because if you don't, you could very easily have a case where your minecarts go into non-entity processing chunks, and therefore, yeah, you're not going to have a great time. The minecart loaders for the glass bottles are down here. Then right here is where your shulkers of empty bottles would go. Then over here we got where your empty shulkers would go. And right here is the collection for your honey bottles. And all of that converges into this shulker box loader. Although right now I just have a piece of wool in here rather than a shulker box, because I've been using a Carpet Mod's hopper counters feature to monitor the rates of this farm. In terms of performance, this farm is getting, on my particular computer, 22.4 MSPT in vanilla Minecraft. And if I happen to be running the lithium performance enhancement mod, then I'm getting about 10.1 MSPT. Of course, results on your own computer will vary, since everyone has different hardware configurations out there, but that's at least what I'm getting on my computer. I've also tested the performance of this farm without bees and compared it to Kdender's farm without bees, and at least on my particular hardware, I'm seeing about a 2 MSPT improvement in terms of performance over Kdender's lag efficient honey farm. So if you're kind of curious how they stack up, then there you go right there. So there you have it, everyone. The most lag efficient honey farm out there today. But should you actually build it? You see, my relentless pursuit in lag efficiency, modularity, and having an off switch for the farm so it can turn itself off if, say, it runs out of glass bottles, for example. Other aspects of the farm's design have unfortunately suffered. First and foremost, the space and build effort required. Like, keep in mind, this is just a farm with 1,728 beehives. Exactly the same number of beehives as, say, Kadender's lag-efficient honey farm. But the amount of space it takes up is easily 3 times or more. So you really have to ask yourself the question, is it worth all that extra build effort just to save 2 MSPT? For some, perhaps. For others, I would argue probably not. Especially if you're just playing single player, 2 MSPT isn't the end of the world. Honestly, the winning play here may very well be to actually not build this farm, but maybe one of a similar layout, or a completely different layout, using end of the 6-tick response time honey farm slice, since this is certainly a bit cheaper instead of the 8-tick response time slice, since this one has to use some extra comparators and composters. Or if you're looking for an off-the-shelf solution where you don't have to like build it up in a creative world first, Kadender's lag-efficient honey farm. It's not a bad farm at all, so, you know, if you don't care about the 2 MSPT savings of a farm like this, then it may just very well be worth it to build that instead. So, in conclusion, should you build this? Well, I can't really make that decision for you. I guess one pro for this versus other honey farms that are out there and ready to build would be that because of the modular approach to this, you could easily scale the farm up or down depending on what you need. So if you don't need the full 6 modules and such, you could scale it down to say just 3 modules, 2, or even 1. So it has that going for it, but ultimately, you're going to have to weigh the pros and cons of this thing and make that decision for yourself. Well, everyone, that's going to be it for today. If you're interested in potentially building my honey farm, then you can find the download to this world in the video description, so I highly recommend checking that out. But anyways, everyone, thank you so much for watching, and thank you, everyone, for 1,000 subscribers. Until next time, I'll catch you all later. Bye.